7. Stoicism Guides for Modern Life. Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by life? Maybe it's work, maybe it's relationships, or maybe it's the sheer speed at which everything seems to move these days. We're bombarded with deadlines, opinions, expectations, and constant noise from social media, news, and the 24/7 grind of modern life. And let's be real, sometimes it feels like no matter how hard you try, the world keeps throwing curveballs. Stress, anxiety, frustration. Sound familiar? Well, what if I told you there's a way to navigate all this chaos with calm? What if there was a philosophy, an ancient way of thinking, that could help you not only survive, but thrive in a world that feels out of control? Stoicism isn't some old, dusty philosophy. It's one of the most practical, down-to-earth approaches to life. And the craziest part, it's been around for thousands of years, and yet it's more relevant today than ever. You see, Stoicism was born in ancient Greece and Rome, but its teachings, practical advice on how to deal with life's inevitable challenges, are spot on for our modern lives. Think about it. We're constantly dealing with uncertainty, failure, and stress. Sound familiar? And yet, the Stoics lived through their own versions of these struggles: wars, personal tragedies, political instability, and they found peace by focusing on one key idea: control what you can, and let go of the rest. In this video, I'm going to break down 7 powerful Stoic guides that can totally change the way you live. We'll dive into how to deal with adversity, how to stay grounded when life is chaotic, and how to focus on what truly matters, today, right now. If you're ready to stop feeling like life is constantly knocking you down and start living with more purpose, clarity, and resilience, keep watching. Because Stoicism isn't just a set of ancient rules, it's a way of life, and it's here to help you build the inner peace and strength you need to handle anything life throws your way. Guide number 1. Recognizing what you can control. The Dichotomy of Control. All right, let's kick things off with the first core principle of Stoicism, the Dichotomy of Control. This is all about recognizing the difference between what you can control and what you can't. I want you to pause for a second and think about a time when you were really stressed out. Maybe it was a situation at work, a tough conversation with a friend or partner, or maybe just life in general feeling like it's spiraling. Here's the thing. Stress often comes from the idea that we have to control everything, or at least that we can. But guess what? You can't. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught that we should focus all our energy on what we can control, our own thoughts, reactions, and actions, and let go of everything else. This simple idea is incredibly powerful and is the foundation of a calm, grounded life. So let's break this down. What exactly can you control? Well, you can control your attitude. You can control how you respond to a situation. You can control your effort and how you choose to act in any given moment. But everything else, the actions of others, the outcomes of situations, the weather or the global economy, not so much. I'll give you a personal example. There was a time when I was waiting on a big job opportunity. Everything felt like it was riding on this one decision. I obsessed over it, checking emails constantly, wondering if I was doing enough to make it happen. I was putting my entire focus on controlling the outcome. But guess what? That's when I realized I was stressing over something that was completely out of my hands. So, I shifted my focus. Instead of trying to control the outcome, I focused on controlling my actions, preparing myself to the best of my ability, staying positive, and putting in the work, regardless of the outcome. What happened next? I ended up getting the job, but more importantly, I felt at peace during the process because I had learned to let go of that need for control. Practical steps you can take. Make a control versus no control list. Write down everything you're stressing about. Next to each item, write whether it's within your control or not. You'd be surprised how much of your stress comes from things outside your control. Focus on your response. When faced with a difficult situation, instead of getting wrapped up in what's happening, focus on how you can respond to it. You may not be able to change what's going on, but you can control your attitude, your effort, and your next step. Let go of the rest. Once you identify what you can't control, let it go. It's a game changer, trust me. Stop worrying about the outcome and focus on what you can do today. Takeaway. The Stoics taught us that the secret to reducing stress and anxiety lies in accepting that some things are simply outside of our control. By letting go of the need to control the uncontrollable, we can reclaim our peace of mind and emotional energy. Remember, you control you. That's where your power lies. Guide number 2. The power of perception. How to reframe your thoughts. Let's move on to the next big Stoic principle, and this one is a game changer. It's all about perception, how we see things, and, more importantly, how we choose to interpret them. You've probably heard the saying, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Well, guess who said that? The Stoics. They understood that while we can't control everything that happens in life, we can control how we perceive those events. It's not the external event that causes us distress. It's our interpretation of it. Take a minute and think about a situation in your life where things didn't go according to plan. Maybe you got passed over for a promotion, or a relationship didn't work out, or something unexpected threw you off course. The first instinct might be to feel frustrated, disappointed, or even angry. And hey, those feelings are normal. But what if I told you that how you interpret those situations has more power than the situation itself? Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, said this: "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And it's true. The way you think about a situation determines your emotional response to it. For example, let's say you didn't get that promotion you were hoping for. You could choose to perceive it as a failure, something unfair, or as a personal blow to your worth. That kind of thinking will only create frustration and resentment. But here's the Stoic twist. You could also choose to see it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to improve for next time. You could look at it as a stepping stone rather than a setback. That shift in perspective completely changes how you feel about the situation. Practical steps you can take: reframe negative thoughts. The next time something goes wrong, stop and ask yourself, how can I reframe this? Instead of saying, "This is awful," try thinking, "This is challenging, but it's also an opportunity to grow." Use the "what's the opportunity" technique. If something doesn't go as planned, ask, "What can I learn from this? How can this experience help me in the future?" This simple question shifts your mindset from victim to empowered. Practice gratitude. Even in tough situations, try to find something to be grateful for. Gratitude is a Stoic tool that helps us shift from focusing on what we lack to appreciating what we have. Takeaway. At the end of the day, our perceptions shape our reality. By changing the way we see challenges, setbacks, and even failures, we can transform negative experiences into opportunities for growth and empowerment. Remember, it's not the events themselves that make us unhappy. It's the way we interpret them. Guide number 3. Embracing adversity, post-traumatic growth and resilience. Okay, let's talk about something that can be a little uncomfortable, but incredibly powerful: adversity. Yeah, I know. Who wants to talk about hardships, right? But here's the deal. Life is going to throw curveballs whether we like it or not. That's a given. You can't avoid pain, loss, or setbacks. These are part of being human. But you can decide how to respond when adversity knocks on your door. And guess what? This is where Stoicism can completely change the game. The Stoics didn't just accept adversity, they embraced it. Why? Because they understood that hardship isn't just something to endure, it's an opportunity to grow, to build resilience, and to come out stronger on the other side. Take Seneca, for example. He lived through exile, personal losses, and political turmoil. But he wrote about how these experiences, no matter how painful, were necessary for developing character. He said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." So instead of running from adversity, he leaned into it. This concept isn't just some abstract philosophy. It's rooted in something psychologists call post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that after experiencing trauma or hardship, many people actually come out stronger, with a greater sense of purpose, resilience, and understanding of what truly matters. Let me share a personal story to illustrate this. I remember going through a tough time when I lost a job I had really invested myself in. It felt like everything was falling apart. I didn't know where to go next, and for a while, it felt like I was stuck in this fog of uncertainty. But here's the thing. After the initial shock wore off, I started to realize something powerful. I had a choice. I could either let this setback define me, or I could use it as a springboard to evolve. So I took the time to reflect, sharpen my skills, and dive into projects I'd always put off. And looking back now, I can honestly say that loss led to more growth than I ever expected. Practical steps you can take. Change your perspective on struggles. Next time you face a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? It's not about minimizing the pain. It's about finding the growth potential in the struggle. Reflect and reframe. When going through tough times, give yourself space to reflect. Use journaling to process your feelings, identify lessons learned, and recognize how the experience can build your resilience. Build mental toughness. Resilience is like a muscle. You need to exercise it. Practice getting comfortable with discomfort. Whether it's stepping out of your comfort zone, facing difficult conversations, or challenging your fears, build small resilience muscles every day. Takeaway: the Stoics knew that life's difficulties aren't roadblocks, they're opportunities. Embrace adversity as a catalyst for growth. When life gets tough, don't back away from the struggle. Lean in, learn from it, and let it make you stronger. Every challenge is a chance to build the character and strength you'll need for the next part of your journey. Guide number 4. Practicing gratitude, focusing on what you have. Let's talk about something that's easy to overlook but can completely change the way you experience life. Gratitude. In a world where we're constantly chasing more success, more possessions, more recognition, it's easy to lose sight of what we already have. But the Stoics understood that true contentment doesn't come from external things. It comes from the ability to appreciate what's already in your life. One of the central practices of Stoicism is focusing on what you have, not what you lack. Marcus Aurelius, who was one of the most powerful men in the world, spent his life reminding himself that true peace comes not from wealth or fame, but from appreciating the present moment. He said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude isn't just about saying thank you when things go well. It's about actively noticing and appreciating the little things in life, the quiet moments, the relationships you cherish, the lessons learned from challenges, and even the simple fact that you're alive to experience today. I'll be honest with you, I didn't always embrace this practice, but once I started incorporating gratitude into my daily routine, I started noticing a shift in my mindset. Instead of focusing on the things I didn't have or the problems I was facing, I began to focus on the things that were already working in my life. And that made all the difference. A simple example. Have you ever found yourself stressing over work, deadlines, or goals, only to realize you're forgetting to appreciate the things you already do have? Maybe you have your health. Maybe you have friends or family who love you. Maybe you have a roof over your head and food to eat. These are all things we often take for granted, but they're also the foundation of a life worth living. Practical steps. You can take. Start a gratitude journal. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be huge things. Sometimes the smallest moments can bring the most joy. Negative visualization. This one sounds a little strange, but hear me out. Take a moment to imagine losing something you deeply value, like a loved one, your health, or even your job. This practice isn't about being morbid. It's about making you appreciate what you have. When you imagine those things, you realize how much you actually have to be thankful for right now. Thank people in your life. Don't just think about what you're grateful for. Express it. Take a moment to thank the people who've helped or supported you, even in small ways. You'd be surprised at how powerful it is to hear, "Thank you." Takeaway. Gratitude is a Stoic superpower. The more you practice it, the more you start to see how rich your life already is. You don't need more to be happy. You just need to recognize and appreciate what's right in front of you. Gratitude brings peace, contentment, and a deeper connection to the present moment. Guide number 5. Living virtuously, the Stoics' Guide to Character. All right, let's talk about virtue. And I promise this isn't as dry or boring as it might sound. In fact, it's one of the most exciting aspects of Stoicism because it's all about becoming the best version of yourself. For the Stoics, virtue wasn't just about doing good things. It was about building strong moral character and aligning your actions with your highest values. It's about being a good person, not for the recognition or reward, but because that's the kind of person you want to be. One of the most powerful things the Stoics teach is that our true happiness doesn't come from external success or material gain. It comes from living a virtuous life. This means cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline in everything you do. For them, living virtuously was the ultimate source of fulfillment. Let me break it down for you with an example. Think about something you've done recently that made you feel really proud. Maybe you helped a friend through a tough time, or stood up for what was right, even though it was difficult. When you live in alignment with your values, you don't just feel good in the moment, you create long-term satisfaction. On the flip side, if you're constantly chasing external rewards, there's always the risk that those things will disappear, and your sense of fulfillment will disappear with them. The Stoics believe that by focusing on building virtues and cultivating good character, you're setting yourself up for lasting happiness, one that isn't dependent on things you can't control. Practical steps. You can take. Identify your core virtues. What qualities do you want to embody? Maybe it's kindness, honesty, patience, or resilience. Write them down and make a commitment to practice them in your daily life. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did my actions today reflect my values? Reflecting on your behavior helps you stay accountable to your principles and makes living virtuously a daily habit. Do the right thing, even when it's hard. Sometimes, it's easier to take shortcuts or go along with the crowd. The Stoics would challenge you to do what's right, not what's easy. Whether it's telling the truth when it's uncomfortable or standing up for someone who needs support, these small acts build your character. Takeaway. Living virtuously isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every decision you make is a chance to become a better version of yourself. By focusing on cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, you create a life that's rich in meaning and fulfillment. True happiness, according to Stoicism, comes from building your character, not chasing fleeting external rewards. Guide number 6. Memento Mori, embracing mortality to live fully. Now let's talk about something that might make you a little uncomfortable, but I promise, it's a concept that can totally transform the way you live. Memento Mori, which means, remember you must die. Wait, what? Isn't that kind of morbid? It's not. In fact, Memento Mori is one of the most powerful tools in the Stoic toolbox. It's all about acknowledging the reality of mortality, not to make you anxious or sad, but to help you live more fully in the time you have. The Stoics believed that by constantly reminding ourselves that life is short, we are less likely to waste time on trivial things or get caught up in petty concerns. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Here's the thing. When you start thinking about your mortality, you begin to appreciate life more deeply. It's not a depressing thought. It's a freeing one. It's the reminder that our time here is limited, and that means every moment counts. Let me give you a simple exercise that's helped me. Try spending a moment each day reflecting on the fact that life is temporary. It doesn't have to be a dark, heavy thought. Instead, it's about gaining perspective. In those moments, you'll start to realize just how precious your time is and how much you want to make the most of it. This principle can change the way you approach everything. You stop wasting time on unnecessary distractions, on people who drain you, or on situations that don't align with your values. Instead, you focus on what matters, living a meaningful life with the time you have. Practical steps you can take. Reflect on your mortality. Set aside a moment each day to remind yourself that life is short. This isn't meant to make you feel sad. It's meant to help you appreciate the time you have and use it wisely. Live with intention. When you understand that time is finite, you become more intentional about how you spend it. What's truly important to you? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Start making decisions that align with those values. Prioritize meaningful experiences. Instead of filling your life with distractions, focus on experiences that bring you joy and fulfillment. Spend time with loved ones, pursue your passions, and don't wait for the right time to do the things that matter most. Takeaway: Memento Mori isn't about fear. It's about living more fully. By remembering that life is temporary, we gain clarity on what truly matters. This powerful Stoic practice helps us stop wasting time on trivial things and start investing in the moments that bring us joy, meaning, and purpose. Life is short. Use it wisely. Guide number 7, Amor Fati, loving your fate. All right, here we go. The final Stoic principle. Amor Fati, which translates to love your fate. Now I know this sounds a little counterintuitive, right? Loving your fate? That sounds like something you'd say if everything was going perfectly, like a sunny day, a perfect job, and an unbroken streak of good luck. But here's where Stoicism flips the script. Amor Fati isn't just about loving the good parts of life. It's about loving everything, good or bad. It's about fully accepting everything that happens to you, because in the Stoic view, everything that happens is part of your journey. You see, the Stoics believe that life is full of events beyond our control, some of them painful, some of them joyful, but all of them necessary. The key to peace is not to resist life's twists and turns, but to embrace them, to see every moment as part of the grand design of your story. It's easy to love the good things, right? Who doesn't love a promotion, a relationship blossoming, or achieving a personal goal? But Amor Fati asks you to love even the bad things, the setbacks, the losses, the failures. Why? Because they too are a part of who you are becoming. One of my favorite quotes on this comes from the Stoic philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who actually coined the phrase Amor Fati as a life philosophy. My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. And I have to admit, this concept has had a huge impact on how I approach life. I used to spend so much time wishing things were different. If only I hadn't made that mistake. If only I had done things differently. If only I had more time. But when I started practicing amor fati, I realized that every single experience I've had, whether it felt good or bad at the time, has been essential to who I am today. And even though I can't change the past, I can choose how I look at it, and I can choose to love it. Let's think about this in a more practical sense. Imagine you're going through a tough breakup. It's hard, it's painful, and it feels like your world is crumbling. In those moments, loving your fate might seem impossible. But here's the Stoic shift. Rather than wishing it had never happened, or beating yourself up over the way it ended, you embrace it. You accept that this experience, while painful, is a part of your growth. You might learn something about yourself. Maybe it teaches you how to communicate better, how to set boundaries, or how to truly love yourself first. When you accept this as part of your journey, you stop resisting the pain, and you start using it to fuel your personal growth. Practical steps. You can take reframe negative experiences. When something goes wrong, take a step back and ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I use this for my growth? Shift your mindset from seeing the event as something to avoid to seeing it as something to embrace. Embrace life's uncertainty. Instead of feeling frustrated by life's unpredictability, try to embrace it. Whether it's a change in plans, an unexpected challenge, or a new opportunity, choose to trust that it's part of your story and your path. Practice. Acceptance daily. Every time something doesn't go your way, take a moment to say, "This is my fate. I love it as it is." It might feel strange at first, but with time, you'll find that you start letting go of unnecessary frustration and begin to flow with life instead of fighting against it. Takeaway. Amor fati is about seeing life's challenges and joys alike as a part of your personal story. By accepting everything that happens to you, good or bad, you free yourself from the weight of resistance and allow yourself to grow from every experience. In loving your fate, you begin to live with peace and purpose, knowing that every step, every twist, and every turn is shaping you into who you are meant to be. Conclusion. The Stoic path to a peaceful and fulfilled life. As we come to the end of our journey through the 7 Stoic guides for modern life, I want to leave you with one final thought. Stoicism isn't just about learning philosophical concepts. It's about living them. It's about turning ancient wisdom into daily practice and applying it in ways that make your life more peaceful, resilient, and meaningful. What's powerful about Stoicism is that it doesn't require you to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out, and you don't need to completely transform overnight. What Stoicism offers is a roadmap, a way to navigate the uncertainties of life with clarity and composure. You've learned that we can't control external events or what other people do, but we can control how we respond to those events. We can choose our reactions, our perspectives, and the actions we take. The key is to stop allowing the uncontrollable to dictate your peace of mind, and instead focus on cultivating an inner resilience that nothing on the outside can shake. Through embracing adversity, we learn to find strength in our struggles, realizing that each challenge is an opportunity for growth. Through gratitude, we come to understand that happiness doesn't come from more, but from appreciating what we already have. Virtue guides us to build character and live by our highest values, while memento mori serves as a reminder that time is precious, and that we should live fully and intentionally. Finally, with amor fati, we learn to love every part of our journey, accepting the ups and downs as necessary ingredients in our personal evolution. When we begin to live according to these principles, we start to see the world differently. We don't see obstacles. We see opportunities for growth. We don't see pain. We see lessons. We don't feel victimized by life. We see ourselves as active participants in our own story, writing the next chapter with intention and clarity. But here's the thing. Stoicism isn't a quick fix. It's a practice. It takes time. It requires patience, reflection, and most importantly, action. These principles don't just sit on a page. They need to be woven into the fabric of your daily life. And the more you practice, the more you'll see the change, slowly but surely, one small shift at a time. So, what's the next step for you? How are you going to integrate these Stoic ideas into your life today? Maybe you'll start with memento mori and spend a few moments reflecting on the preciousness of time. Maybe you'll begin with gratitude, writing down 3 things you're thankful for at the end of each day. Perhaps you'll lean into virtue by taking a moment to reflect on the kind of person you want to be and aligning your actions accordingly. The beauty of Stoicism is that there's always room to grow, to learn, and to practice. Every day is an opportunity to embody these timeless principles and create a life that is grounded, purposeful, and free from unnecessary suffering. And finally, remember this. You don't need to wait for everything to be perfect to start living stoically. You don't need to have it all figured out. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of ups and downs, and Stoicism is the tool that helps us find peace and purpose in the chaos. Call to action. If this video resonated with you, I encourage you to take action today. Choose one Stoic principle to focus on and start implementing it. And don't forget to reflect, because self-awareness is key to growth. Share your journey in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're applying Stoicism in your own life. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more insights on how to live a better, more intentional life. And remember, life is always a work in progress. Don't be hard on yourself. Keep going, keep learning, and above all, keep living in a way that aligns with your values. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through Stoic wisdom. Take care, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next video.